In 2024, researchers counted 4.4 million adults in Canada living completely alone, the highest number ever recorded. But the most revealing part wasn't the solitude, it was what happened when someone finally offered them love. Many of them didn't reach for it, they flinched.
That flinch has a name. Psychologists call it a deactivating strategy.
Your nervous system learned, somewhere along the way, that needing someone was the most dangerous thing you could do. And once the body learns that lesson, it never forgets it. If you've ever worn "I'm fine on my own" like a badge of honor, let's be brutally honest. This isn't a celebration of your independence. It's an inspection of the armor you built. Let's meet the fortress you built and the person you built it to protect. Her name doesn't matter, so let's call her the Strategist. 42 years old, a corporate career built on being unshakable. Every relationship she'd had ended the same way, right when it got close. Not because the men were wrong for her, because closeness itself felt like the danger. At 10 years old, she wasn't a child anymore. Her parents were divorcing, and someone had to hold the house together. So she did. She learned to manage everyone's feelings except her own. That's not maturity. That's a 10-year-old doing a grown-up's job. Children like her learn a brutal equation early. Needing someone means being a burden. Being a burden means being left. So the safest move is simple. Need no one, and no one can leave you. She carried that equation into every room she ever walked into as an adult. When a partner finally offered her real closeness, moving in together, real commitment, her body didn't feel comforted. It felt sick. Actual nausea, a closing throat, panic dressed up as practicality. She didn't understand why her body was fighting the exact thing she said she wanted. Your nervous system isn't broken, it's executing a memory. Somewhere in your history, staying close to someone required a sacrifice you swore you would never pay again. Which means right now, you might be defending against a fire that went out years ago. The Strategist ended that relationship 2 weeks before the move-in date. She told herself it was about the apartment, the timing, the paperwork. It was never about the paperwork. It was about a 10-year-old girl who once learned that being needed was safer than being loved. Here's her twist. Weeks later, alone again, she didn't feel devastated. She felt relief. And that relief scared her more than any heartbreak ever had. Relief is not peace. Relief is what a nervous system feels when a threat finally leaves the room. That's her whole story, and maybe none of it looked like yours. But ask yourself, when someone gets close, does your body feel safety, or does it quietly start planning an exit? Carl Jung spent his life studying exactly this kind of quiet, hidden self-protection. Jung called the part of you the world sees your persona. It's the mask that gets you through the day. For some of us, that mask isn't charm or humor. It's competence, total, unshakable self-sufficiency. But every mask exists to hide something. The question is, what yours is hiding?
Jung wrote that everyone carries a shadow, and the less we face it, the darker and heavier it becomes. For the hyper-independent person, the shadow isn't anger. It's something softer. It's the longing to be held. That longing didn't disappear when you became the strong one. It just went underground. This is why compliments about your independence can feel strangely hollow. People are praising the mask. Meanwhile, the part of you that wants to be chosen is still waiting in the dark, unseen. Which means every time someone says, "You're so strong," a small, quiet part of you might actually feel a little more alone. Jung had a name for the trade so many of us make without realizing it. He wrote, "Where love rules, there is no will to power. And where power rules, love is missing." One is the shadow of the other. When love stopped feeling safe,
Some of us quietly swapped it for control.
Control feels like strength because you can predict it.
Love doesn't come with guarantees, so the mind makes a quiet trade, trading the risk of being loved for the certainty of being in charge. This is why so many hyper-independent people are excellent at managing everything except being managed by their own feelings.
Jung warned about exactly this trap.
He wrote that the more the ego chases total freedom from every obligation, the deeper it falls into a hidden slavery, until its craving for control becomes a quiet, desperate craving to be loved. In other words, the harder you run from needing someone, the louder that need eventually gets.
So if independence isn't really about freedom, what is it protecting you from? To answer that, we have to look at what happens inside your body the moment someone truly gets close. Because your mind might say you want love. Your nervous system is telling a very different story. Here's the part that changes everything. Brain scans of people with this pattern show something specific happening. When closeness is offered, one region of the brain lights up hard, the part responsible for shutting emotion down. Your calm isn't calm. It's your brain working overtime to suppress what it's actually feeling.
This means the next time you feel eerily unbothered while someone pours their heart out to you,
that stillness isn't peace. It's your brain actively working to keep you from feeling what's underneath, which is exhausting, even when it looks effortless from the outside.
There's a chemical reason closeness doesn't always feel good,
even when you want it to. Researchers found that people who avoid intimacy often have lower activity in the brain's natural reward chemicals for touch and bonding. So when someone holds you, your brain may simply register less than you'd expect.
This is why you might have gone through the motions of loving your whole life
without ever really feeling nourished by it. Which means the problem was never that you didn't care. Your body just wasn't built to register the reward. Not because you're broken, because somewhere that reward system got quietly rewired for a world where closeness wasn't safe.
And when the body senses a partner drawing close,
it doesn't always stay calm. Sometimes it sounds an alarm, tight chest, racing thoughts, an overwhelming urge to leave the room. That isn't drama, that's your oldest survival system, doing exactly what it was trained to do.
This is exactly what happens when your body treats connection like danger.
It floods you with the same chemicals it would use to survive a threat, because to your nervous system, this is a threat. Which means walking away doesn't feel like giving up. It feels like survival.
And here's the relief that follows. The moment you're alone again, your whole body exhales. Shoulders drop. Breathing slows.
That's not coldness. That's your nervous system finally landing somewhere it trusts. Isolation isn't your enemy. For a long time, it might have been the only thing that kept you safe.
None of this came from nowhere.
Somewhere in childhood, closeness taught you something specific. Maybe your feelings were ignored. Maybe you became the one who took care of everyone else instead. However it happened, your body learned the lesson perfectly. Too perfectly.
When a child reaches for comfort and gets silence instead,
they don't stop needing comfort. They just stop reaching. That single adjustment can quietly shape every relationship for the rest of a life. Which means the guarded adult you are today started as a child who simply ran out of reasons to ask for help.
Sometimes it wasn't neglect.
Sometimes love only came when you performed. Good grades, good behavior, no complaints. So you learned that needing things was a risk, but achieving things was always safe. Which means your independence might not be confidence at all. It might be the safest version of love you were ever offered.
Some children learn this lesson faster than others.
When a home feels unpredictable, warm one day, cold the next, reaching out becomes a gamble no child wants to keep losing. Self-reliance becomes the one thing in the house that never lets you down. By the teenage years, this pattern has a shape. The kid who needs no one. The one who's just independent, just private, just fine. Everyone believes it. Even you start to believe it. But underneath, a very specific kind of pride was quietly forming. Pride built on not needing anybody at all.
By adulthood, this defense morphs into a complete lifestyle. A career designed around absolute self-reliance. A home where no one holds a key. Intimacy reduced to manageable dosages. The tragedy is, almost no one around you sees this as a wound. They see it as strength.
And this is exactly why almost no one questions it.
In cultures that praise hustle and self-sufficiency, your defense mechanism gets applause instead of concern, which means it can hide in plain sight for decades. People will call you strong for the very thing that's quietly keeping you from being loved.
So how does this actually feel day to day when someone tries to love you truly? It isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as feeling a flicker of dread when they say, "I love you," first. That flicker is worth paying attention to because it's telling you something honest.
When love feels like a trap instead of a gift, your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's running an old, outdated warning system. One built for a home that no longer exists. The home is gone. The alarm never got the message. Accepting help can feel unbearable too. Not because you're ungrateful, but because receiving care quietly whispers an old, false rule. That needing someone means owing them. That love always comes with a bill. So instead of receiving, you find yourself giving endlessly. Because giving at least feels safe.
This is the quiet exhaustion almost no one sees.
You give and give, not because you're generous by nature, but because giving lets you stay close to people without ever being vulnerable yourself. Which means you can be surrounded by people and still feel completely unseen. So let's meet someone who lived exactly inside that glass wall. A healthcare worker, 35 years old, who spent her whole career caring for others and could not accept comfort from anyone in return. Her story didn't start in a hospital. It started in a childhood no one was supposed to know about. As a child, her parents struggled with addiction. So she became the caretaker, managing moods, hiding problems, keeping the peace. A child shouldn't have to parent their parent. She had no choice. She learned love wasn't something given to her. It was something she had to provide, constantly, just to keep everyone stable.
As an adult, she was endlessly warm to others and completely unreachable underneath.
Friends called her the strong one. What they didn't see, every time someone offered her comfort, her body screamed danger. Because in her history, needing care from someone unreliable had never once ended safely. When a partner finally tried to take care of her, bringing soup when she was sick, simply sitting with her, she felt something close to panic. Not because it was unwanted, because it was unfamiliar. Unfamiliar kindness can feel exactly like a threat if kindness once came with strings attached. Here's her twist, and it's the part that finally made sense in therapy. She wasn't afraid her partner would hurt her. She was afraid of how much she'd need him if she let herself feel this cared for. Let this sit in silence for a beat. Needing someone that much once meant depending on someone who might vanish. That's her payoff. The moment she understood her compulsive caregiving wasn't kindness alone. It was a way to stay close to people without ever risking being the one who needed something back. Two very different people, the same fortress, built with different bricks. Two very different pasts, but the same pattern. This isn't rare. In the UK, roughly a third of adults report ongoing loneliness. Many of them are surrounded by people who would gladly get closer. Which means, right now, someone near you might be exactly as guarded as you are.
And this isn't only a personal wound,
it's cultural too. In places that celebrate hustle and self-made success, guarding your heart doesn't just go unnoticed,
it gets rewarded, which makes it even harder to recognize a defense mechanism that everyone around you is applauding.
Here's something almost no one expects.
Being loved and being controlled can trigger the same alarm in your body. Both ask you to give up a little certainty. Your body doesn't always know the difference, which means love can feel dangerous even when the person offering it means you no harm. And here's the strangest twist of all. Predictable loneliness can feel safer than unpredictable love. Loneliness you already know how to survive. Love is a variable your nervous system was never trained to trust. So the mind quietly chooses the pain it already understands.
There's a Jungian word for what happens next in people who push themselves too far the other way. Endless caretaking, endless accommodating. It's called Enantiodromia. Everything at its extreme turns into its opposite, which means the most caring person you know might be one heartbreak away from becoming completely unreachable. From the outside, it looks like they simply stopped caring. From the inside, their capacity to feel for others finally hit its limit and turned inward, just to survive. They didn't lose their heart. Their heart turned around to protect itself. So here's a myth worth breaking today. Needing no one isn't strength. It's a nervous system working overtime to avoid a pain it once couldn't survive. Real strength looks different than this. Real strength is being able to stay in the room when someone finally offers you something good. Jung believed real growth was never about choosing independence over connection. It was about holding both, standing on your own 2 feet and still being able to reach for someone's hand. He called this whole journey individuation, becoming yourself fully, not by disappearing from others, but by finally letting them see you. Jung even warned about the opposite mistake: isolating yourself and calling it growth. He wrote that life calls us toward connection, and running from it out of fear only deepens the very wound we're avoiding. So solitude isn't the enemy here. Solitude, used as a permanent hiding place, is. The goal was never to stop being independent. It's to notice when independence stopped being a choice and quietly became a cage you can't remember locking. The door of that cage was never sealed from the outside. It only ever locked from within. Recognizing this pattern in yourself is not a failure. It's the first door opening. You are not broken for protecting yourself. You were a child, doing the only thing that made sense at the time. The adult you are now gets to make a different choice. One small moment at a time. This doesn't mean forcing yourself into closeness overnight. It means noticing the flinch next time it happens and staying in the room for 1 extra second longer than usual. 1 extra second, repeated enough times, is how a nervous system slowly learns something new. It means letting someone help carry something small, even when you're fully capable of carrying it alone. Not because you need to, because connection needs somewhere to land. Every small moment like this quietly rewrites the old rule that needing someone is dangerous. It means letting someone see you on a hard day instead of disappearing behind competence. That single moment of honesty can do more for you than a decade of handling everything alone ever did. You were never meant to hold your whole life together by yourself. Remember that apartment from the very beginning, the one lit by a single lamp, the door glowing gold underneath. That door was never locked by someone else. You were always the one holding the handle, and you get to decide, today, whether to turn it. You don't have to stop being independent. You only have to stop mistaking distance for safety. The strongest thing you'll ever do isn't standing alone. It's letting someone finally stand beside you. Soft, not salesy, spoken gently, almost like the final thought of a conversation. If any part of this felt familiar, you're not alone in it, and you're not too guarded to be loved. If you want to understand this pattern even further, there's another video waiting for you.